Hello and welcome everyone to the most recent instalment of the IATiP short interviews. And today I'm joined with Micheál Ó Cinneide, the chair of the advisory committee for Páirc Namara. So Micheál, I wonder if you could introduce yourself and give us a little bit about your background, please.
Hi Georgia, I'm a Kerry man living in exile in Galway, and I worked for many years in the marine industry in some shape or form. I came home from America in 1986 and started working in Kilkieran, Connemara, which is where Páirc Namara is planned to be now, and spent 8 years there with the Irish Seafood Producers Group, ISPG, working with people like Damien O'Callaghan, Cleana's dad, and many other wonderful people. And then I went from there and became the policy advisor to Eamon Gilmore in the Department of Marine, when there was such a thing as a Department of Marine, and was there when we brought in the aquaculture licensing bill and so on. And then since then, I've worked in other state agencies, inland fisheries for a while, 10 years as a director of the Marine Institute and 10 years as a director of the EPA. So I have a long interest in and kind of, close links with the west of Ireland, socioeconomic development, and I would be very keen to see communities being able to, let's say, grow their marine resources in a sustainable way. And that's one of the reasons why I'm involved with Páirc Namara now.
Excellent. Okay, so on that, would you mind introducing what Páirc Namara is and where the idea came from, please?
So I'm not sure where the idea came from exactly, except that UDRAS and BIM are the two main state agencies that are promoting development of aquaculture in Ireland, have been doing so for at least 4 decades. And Kilkieran, when I worked there, was one of the centres in the country at the time. It was a cluster in that there was a number of salmon producers, there was shellfish farmers, there was a shellfish cooperative, there was a seaweed factory, and we had a primary packing and a secondary processing plant already in Kilkieran 20 years ago. But those facilities were not modern, up-to-date facilities. And the idea grew in UDRAS, we need to develop basically an industrial park to help those companies to develop. So that's the original idea. And they bought land at the outskirts of the village of Kilkieran. And that has become, I suppose, the nucleus of this idea. And the more recent then, let's say, phase of it, Micheál Ó Cinneide is the chief executive of the UDRAS, and he is trying to implement a 5-year strategy for UDRAS, which includes this idea of promoting Páirc Namara. And the socioeconomic part of it, Georgia, is that the area where it's located, it's called Iris Ahnach, that peninsula, and it's the two main villages are Carna and Kilkieran. The unemployment rate is quite high, and there's a lot of immigration, and there's a concern about the future, the sustainability of those communities. And it's typical, it's just one microcosm of all the west coast of Ireland and Scotland the same way. But anyway, because there was a tradition for 40 years of aquaculture there, the local community is by and large very supportive and wants to see this marine park progress in Kilkieran. And so the UDRAS see it as a strategic priority. It's a way in which companies can come together. And so the 3 elements of aquaculture are included in the plans. One is finfish, the other is shellfish, and the third seaweed. So it's a marine innovation park. The whole chain, starting with research and development and innovation. There's something called MIDC, Marine Innovation Development Centre, would be located there, which would have support from NUI Galway, Galway Mayo Institute of Technology, and other colleges. So you have that, plus then state agencies, and then private sector investors. It's approximately a €30 million investment project. It's the largest of its kind in the country, and I think it would be of great interest to your members.
Excellent. So when you say it's of interest to the members, is there an opportunity for them to be cited there or to take on the innovations that come out of it? What's your idea? What's your
well,
vision?
it's of interest, I think, for 2 main reasons. First of all, at the innovation end of it, because I think just in the same way that your aquaculture cluster is a platform for people to meet and to network, this is what you're trying to do. Well, Páirc Namara will be doing the same thing, but in a physical place. And it'll provide a facility, and hopefully you'll be able to work together. So the Marine Innovation Centre will be a place where there will be actual lectures and research, laboratories, workshops, activities, all of that stuff, and researchers. So that's the first way in which companies would be interested in being part of that cluster, that community. And then secondly, it's a large area which will have planning permission for and facilities for private investment. So companies already have expressed interest. Údarás has a list of more than 20 companies who are already in finfish in Ireland to rare smolts, recirculation facilities for species other than salmon. And as well as that, shellfish companies have expressed an interest, will be part of it. And thirdly, the seaweed sector. And the idea is that companies who haven't already expressed an interest can do so in the future. I mean, companies may come and go, but the idea is like an industrial estate for other sectors. We have it, the IDA have it in the main cities in Ireland. And, you know, companies wax and wane, but the facilities are there and they're owned by the state. So there will be an actual vehicle there under Údarás na Gaeltachta to manage this facility and then to lease out space to companies. So that's obviously of commercial interest to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the current status and what's the next step, the timeline that you imagine?
So the folks in the Údarás Marine Division, so that includes Marnie Enyo and Mark Kafita, those people primarily are leading this within Údarás. They've been working closely with a couple of planning and engineering companies in Galway, Tobin's and MK O'Sullivan, to develop the application for planning permission. About 1,000 pages of documentation were lodged earlier on in the year. They were working all through COVID on it. And on the 29th of July, I'm just checking the date here, the planning permission folks in the County Council wrote back and said, that's fine, thank you very much for the 1,000 pages, but by the way, we want some more. So they asked 55 questions or thereabouts. And so this is a typical thing that happens, requests for further information. So there's a whole series of new reports that are going to be required in addition to what's already there. And the Údarás now have 6 months to prepare that. So between, let's say, July and next January, all those various reports on traffic and on management and on water and so on are being gathered. Typically that would come at a later stage, but it's been done before they finalise the planning permission, just because of the scale. So that's the next step. So lodge all those by next January. Then the County Council will make a decision. And if they give permission, it's possible that some people out there may not like it and may object to An Bord Pleanála. Hopefully they won't. But if they do, then it would go to An Bord Pleanála, and that would take a couple of months again next year. And so it's likely, I would say, that the final hurdle on the planning side will be by the end of 2021. And if it's successful, the construction and planning and so on phase would start from 2022 to 2024. And so there's a lot of work to be done on the physical planning side of it, on the construction side, but at the same time, as chair of the Páirc na Mara committee, I've also been keen that we use that time to build capacity, because a lot of the capacity actually has been lost from the sector and from Kilkieran and from Carna. So there are lots of courses being organised with help from the Galway Education Training Board, GRETB. They're a member of our committee. We're working on courses with BIM and with Údarás, and we're trying to do just like what you're doing here, building profiles, building awareness, so people actually can get experience and be preparing for those positions when they come available. So we're trying to use the time to upskill and build capacity, but it's a project which is kind of, let's say, in midstream at the moment. That's the way I would describe it. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So how do people find out more, or how do they note interest so they can be updated?
Two ways. The general public already are following it on Facebook. So if you look at the words Páirc na Mara on Facebook, there's about 1,500 followers, and they post information regularly on that. And then as well as that, Údarás, UDARAS.ie, that website has a section on it about Páirc na Mara, and that's the main place where they put all the information and the updates. But I know that Maria and Mark and them are planning to have a dedicated website for Páirc na Mara itself once it gets further down the road. But at the moment, Údarás.ie or Facebook, and they're doing a bit like yourself, some short profiles. They're not videos, but up already on the screen. There's a lot of people that are in the marine sector that are basically being profiled. And the idea is to create, we'll call it a community, a constituency, who are plugged into what's going on with Páirc na Mara. So their aims are very similar to yourselves, Georgia.
I'm one of the profiles.
Good, well done. I noticed that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so what about if there's a company that's interested in citing themselves there? Would they go to the same website and contact us?
To contact either Mark DeFrita, who is the director in charge of the marine and the industrial development side of Údarás, or else Moira Morney Ainu, and their contact details are there. That's the best way. So they already have looked for expressions of interest. You could say it's booked up at the moment, but things could change. And so I think it's good to have those conversations. And first of all, to see what's happening. And even if the company isn't going to be cited there directly, basically to plug in, I'm a great believer like you in this idea of clusters and in what I call communities of learning. And so there needs to be such a community in Páirc na Mara and in Connemara, linking in with what you're doing and linking in nationally, because the industry is relatively small. There's a lot of very bright people, but I don't think that the networking in the communities is as fully developed as it would have been even 20 years ago. We had more seminars in the pub in Kilkieran having our ham sandwiches. You know, all that information, and it was in our heads. It's been scattered. We need to rebuild it. Yeah.
Excellent. That's a really positive message. Thank you.